Hello, dear listeners. Today we'll embark on a journey together into a story that flows silently through the depths of history. If there are any topics you'd like to see in our future videos, don't forget to mention them in the comments. Tonight, I will tell you the story of how long would you last as a sailor in the Ottoman Navy. Wherever you are right now, whatever time you're listening, I'd be very happy if you shared your location and time in the comments. This way, we can connect with our listeners from all corners of the world. Now, dim the lights, pull up your blanket, and slowly close your eyes. Together we embark on a journey through the turbulent waters of the Ottoman Navy. As the first rays of morning caress Istanbul's hills, you are a 16-year-old lad on the verge of making the biggest decision of your life. The years spent in your father's shoemaker's shop no longer satisfy you. Every morning, as you stand at the same counter, inhaling the same scent of leather, the sound of ship horns from the Golden Horn echoes in your ears. Those sounds speak to you of distant seas, unknown islands, a life full of adventures. You look out the shop window, the sails of galleons rising in the shipyard, flags fluttering in the wind, and the silhouettes of sailors bustling in the harbour. Each one is a part of a life you haven't lived yet. Your hands are calloused from working with leather, but your heart beats with the call of the sea. This morning you have finally made your decision. You go to your father, and with a trembling voice you say, "Father, I want to enlist in the Navy." Silence. Your father's expression shifts between surprise and concern. "My son," he says, slowly, "seamanship is not an easy profession. Death, hunger, sickness, on a ship. You have a safe life here. But you know there's no turning back now. That burning sensation, that restlessness within you won't let you live any other way." The next day, you go to the Naval recruitment office in Kasımpaşa. The moment you step through the door, you feel that your life is about to change completely. Thick, sun-darkened sailors move around telling sea stories, smoking tobacco and sipping coffee. You, still young and inexperienced, look small among them. The recruiting officer asks in a stern voice, "What's your name? Where are you from? Why do you want to join the Navy?" You answer without hesitation, "Mehmet, I'm from Üsküdar, sir. I want to serve my sultan and my homeland." The officer mutters as he shuffles papers. "Good. But know this, there's nothing romantic about the sea. There's only work, discipline, and the struggle to survive." Your first day is spent at the Imperial shipyard. Here, hundreds of workers and sailors gather to build the Empire's most powerful ships. You are among them, a novice who understands nothing yet. Your first task is to learn about the ropes on the ships. Each type of rope has a different name, a different function. Eskina rope, shrouding rope, bow rope. These names sound foreign to your ears at first, but with time you begin to master the language of seamanship. During your lunch break, Hasan Ağa, an experienced sailor, approaches you. "Are you new?" he asks. You nod shyly. "Listen," Hasan Ağa says, "seamanship isn't just about courage. Everything here is learned through customs and experience. If you want to survive on a ship, first you must know every part of it, then you must respect the sea." As Hasan Ağa's words echo in your ears, you step onto a ship's deck for the first time that afternoon. The planks beneath your feet sway slightly. The smell of the sea, the salty wind hitting your face, the creaking of the ship's masts, all of it excites and frightens you at the same time. By the end of the first week, have learned the basic nautical terms, but you realize that the real challenge has just begun. Life on a ship is very different from land. Everything sways, everything is in motion. You can't even eat your meal at a fixed table. Holding a bowl of hot soup, walking without stumbling, keeping your balance. These are all skills you will learn over time. In the evening, you sleep in the barracks with the other young sailors. Your friends around you are lads from different cities, carrying different stories. Ali from Trabzon lost his father at sea, but still chose seamanship. Mustafa from Izmir is here to continue his family's maritime tradition. You, however, are here simply because you followed the call within you. At night, as silence falls over the barracks, you listen to the sounds of waves from outside. These sounds are now a part of your life. What will happen tomorrow? To which ship will you be assigned? When will you embark on your first voyage? All these questions churn in your mind. You wake up early in the morning. Your first task of the day is cleaning the ships, washing the deck, arranging the ropes, checking the sails. Every task is done with meticulous care and attention, because on a ship, neglect is not just an individual mistake, it can endanger everyone's life. This morning, Captain Ibrahim Bey gathers you and the other new sailors and speaks. "My sons," he says in a deep voice, "you are no longer just young men. You are soldiers of the Ottoman Navy. Here, discipline, loyalty, and courage are our most important values. Everyone on the ship is connected to each other. One person's mistake affects everyone." The captain's words awaken a deep sense of responsibility within you. You now have to think not only about your own life, but also about the lives of your comrades. This weight frightens you a little, but also makes you proud. In the afternoon, you put on a real sailor's uniform for the first time. Thick fabric shalwar, a long shirt, and a turban on your head. These clothes make you feel different. You are no longer a shoemaker's son, but a soldier of the Ottoman Navy. At dinner, Elder Ahmet, an old sailor, tells his stories. "I've been at sea for 30 years, he says. "I've seen every corner of the Mediterranean, traveled from the Red Sea to the Atlantic Ocean. But every time, I still feel the excitement of my first day." As you listen to these stories, distant seas, unknown islands, and different cultures come alive before your eyes. Will you also tell these stories one day? Will you, in your old age, tell young sailors about your own adventures? As you lie in your bunk at night, you think about today. You haven't even gone on a ship yet, but you already feel how much you've changed. Your body is tired, but spiritually, you are content. This tiredness is a different kind of tiredness, a meaningful, valuable tiredness. In your dream, you see yourself on a large galleon sailing on the open sea. The wind inflates the sails, the ship moves quickly, and you stand at the bow looking at the horizon. This dream is so vivid that when you wake up, you are surprised for a moment where you are. The next morning you wake up even earlier, because today you will serve on a real ship for the first time, when you learn that you have been assigned to the galleon named Fatih. The excitement in your heart reaches its peak. This ship is one of the most respected ships in the Navy. Serving here is a great honor. When you take your first step onto the ship, the swaying of the deck beneath your feet no longer bothers you. On the contrary, this swaying now feels like a part of your home. Sailors bustling on the deck, each one knows their duty and carries it out. Your first task is to help in the kitchen. The ship's cook, Master Osman, is a stern-looking but kind-hearted man. "This is the heart of the ship," he says. If you want the sailors to stay strong, you need Ed to cook good food. But cooking on a ship is very different from cooking on land. Indeed, cooking on a swaying ship requires great skill. Pots are hung on special racks to prevent them from sliding around. The stove flame is surrounded by a guard to protect it from the wind. Everything is adjusted according to the movement of the sea. As you help prepare the first meal, you feel your hands trembling. You're not sure if it's from excitement or the ship's swaying, but Master Osman patiently teaches you everything. There's no rush, he says. Seamanship is a job of patience. As lunch is being prepared, you hear sounds from the deck. You realize the ship has started to move. For the first time, you are embarking on a real voyage. The excitement in your heart is now uncontrollable. When the meal is ready, you go up to the deck. The silhouette of Istanbul slowly recedes. The city you left behind is now a memory. Before you, an unknown future stretches out. The wind whips at your face, making your hair dance. In this wind, you feel the taste of freedom. The boundaries on land can no longer bind you. The sea is your new home. You know that this first day will be one of the most important days of your life, because today you are taking your first step from being just a lad to becoming a sailor. This journey will not be easy, but the call within you gives you the strength to overcome every challenge. As the sun sets, you stand at the bow of the ship and ask yourself, where will this journey take you? What adventures, what difficulties await you? And most importantly, how much will you be able to endure on this path? Tonight, you will sleep not on land but at sea. You will sway to the rhythm of the waves, listen to the sound of the wind, and when you wake up tomorrow, a brand new world will greet you. The adventure of seamanship has officially begun. Your first real morning on the ship begins with the sunrise. When you wake up, you notice that your friends around you have already risen and started their duty. Morning at sea begins much earlier than on land, because on a ship there's no such thing as free time. Every moment brings a task, a responsibility. When you leave the barracks, you see sailors washing the deck. Their rhythmic movements are like a dance. Everyone knows what to do. Everyone is in their place. You, however, don't yet know where you stand in this order. Breakfast is very simple: dry bread, cheese, olives, and tea. But on a ship, even this is a great blessing, because finding fresh food is one of the greatest difficulties at sea. As you eat, you listen to the conversations of the sailors around you. The topics they discuss are always about the sea, the direction of the wind, the weather, the routes awaiting the ship. After breakfast, your first duty begins: cleaning the deck. This job seems very simple at first, but cleaning the salt crystals, seawater stains, and other dirt accumulated on the deck is much harder than expected. The rag in your hands quickly gets dirty, and you have to wring it out constantly. Meanwhile, Elder Mehmet Ağa approaches you. Son, he says, cleaning the deck isn't just about cleanliness, it's about cleaning the soul of the ship. A dirty ship is an unlucky ship. These words remind you of the importance of your work. As the morning progresses, the wind begins to pick up. The ship's swaying also increases. At first, this swaying doesn't bother you, but as the hours pass, you feel your stomach beginning to churn. Seasickness is an inevitable experience for every new sailor. The nausea in your stomach gradually increases, your face pales, you start to sweat. The experienced sailors around you notice your condition, but no one mocks you, because all of them have experienced this situation. Master Osman gives you a glass of salt water. "Drink this," he says. "The best remedy for seasickness is the sea itself." Although it seems like a strange piece of advice, after drinking the salt water, the nausea in your stomach subsides a little. Around noon, the wind intensifies further. The ship's movement increases. You try to stay on your feet by holding onto the deck. With every sway, you have to be careful not to lose your footing. Meanwhile, the ship's captain comes up to the deck. Captain Selim Pasha is an experienced sailor who has served at sea for many years. When you look at him, you seek the answer to how you can endure the hardships of the sea. The captain sees you and calls you over. "How are you, son?" he asks. You force a smile and reply, "I'm fine, Pasha." But the captain understands your situation. "Seasickness will pass," he says. "You just need patience." In the afternoon, you are assigned a task related to the sails for the first time. Adjusting the sails is one of the most important skills in seamanship, because the correct adjustment of the sails determines the ship's speed and direction. When you hold the sail ropes, you experience the burning sensation in your hands for the first time. These ropes can injure your hands due to friction, but this is an inevitable part of seamanship. With time, your hands will become calloused and you won't feel this pain. As you try to control the sails against the power of the wind, you understand how strong it is. The wind tries to drag not only the sails, but also you. Struggling with this force requires not only physical strength, but also mental endurance. During the sail work, you work together with your friends. This is a new experience for you. Because you had never worked in such coordinated teamwork before, everyone needs to pull at the same time in the same direction. Otherwise, the sail cannot be properly adjusted. As evening approaches, you feel the day's fatigue intensely. Your body aches, your hands are full of wounds, but at the same time, you also feel the pride of having accomplished something. During dinner, you chat with the other Sai. Laws, they understand your situation on your first day and share their experiences. Ali from Trabzon says, "My first day was even worse than yours, but look, I've been on the ship for months." These stories give you courage. Learning that everyone struggles but gets used to it over time strengthens your belief that you too can endure. After dinner, you go out onto the deck. The night sea is very different from the day sea. The reflection of the moonlight creates a silver path on the waves. This view makes you forget all the day's fatigue. During the night watch, you listen to the sounds of the ship. Every ship has its own unique sounds. The creaking of the planks, the groaning of the ropes, the sound of the wind passing through the masts. These sounds will eventually become music to your ears. Tonight, for the first time, you sleep a deep sleep on the ship. In your dream, you see your house in your village, your mother's warm meals, your father's smiling face. But when you wake up, you remember that these are now in the past. The next day, you encounter even more challenging tasks. You need to inspect the lower decks of the ship for leaks. This is one of the most dangerous jobs in seamanship because a leak on a ship endangers everyone. When you go down to the lower decks, dark and narrow spaces greet you. By the light of only a candle, you try to examine the ship's internal structure. You need to carefully check every corner, every crack. During this work, you also learn how the ship was built. Every piece of wood is carefully placed. Every iron nail is driven into a calculated spot. The ship's solidity is hidden in these details. Around noon, storm clouds begin to appear on the horizon. Experienced sailors, seeing these clouds, begin preparations, because a storm at sea can mean death. During storm preparations, you see how disciplined everyone on the ship works. Everyone knows their duty and does not delay. You also participate in these preparations. but you cannot hide the mixture of excitement and fear in your heart. Meanwhile, Ali gets out of his bunk and comes to your side. "I want to help too," he says. Even though you tell him he is still sick and needs to rest, he insists. "We are on the ship. We are all in the same boat. None of us can do it alone." When the storm begins, the first wave that hits the ship surprises you. This wave is much bigger and stronger than the previous ones. The ship tilts as if it's about to capsize. Everyone on deck clings to something to stay alive. The sound of the wind is now like a scream. It becomes difficult even to speak. You can only communicate with hand signals. In this situation, teamwork becomes even more important. In the middle of the storm, one of the main mast's shrouds breaks. This is a very dangerous situation, because the broken shroud swings back and forth in the wind, threatening everyone. It needs to be dealt with immediately. Master Ismail and a few experienced sailors move to solve this problem, but they take great risks doing this job, because working at height in a storm is very dangerous. You also want to help, but Elder Mehmet stops you. "You're not ready yet," he says, "but you can support us from here." Holding the ropes from below makes their job easier. During the storm, you see how everyone on the ship cooperates. No one thinks about their own safety. Everyone works for the safety of others. This gives you a sense of unity very different from on land. As the night progresses, the intensity of the storm subsides a little. But the danger is not yet over. The ship is still very shaky, and everyone continues to be careful. Meanwhile, one of the sailors working on deck slips and falls. You immediately rush to help. The man has injured his leg and cannot get up. He needs to be moved to a safe place. Together with Ali, you carry your injured friend to a safe area. As you do this, you see how strong Ali acts despite his illness. Perhaps this is what true friendship is. After bandaging your injured friend's leg, you stay by his side. "Don't worry," you say, "but everything will be all right." As you say these words, you are not entirely sure yourself, but you try to give him morale. In the morning, the storm finally passes. The sun begins to appear through the clouds, and the sea slowly calms down. Everyone rejoices in having survived this difficult night. After the storm, the ship is inspected. Thankfully, there is no major damage. Only minor repairs are needed, but everyone is tired and exhausted. During breakfast, you talk about the night. Everyone talks about the help they received from each other. You also say that you will not forget the help of Ali and the others. Captain Selim Pasha gathers the crew and speaks. "Last night, all of you proved yourselves to be true sailors, not only with courage, but also with your loyalty to each other." This praise makes everyone proud. After this experience, you feel that the relationships on the ship have strengthened even more. You are no longer just people working on the same ship. You have become true brothers. Around noon, the sea is completely calm. The sun shines and the air warms. Everything seems peaceful, as if yesterday's storm never happened. During this calm, you sit on the deck with your other friends. Everyone tells their own stories. You also talk about the day you first went on a ship. You describe how scared you were, but how different you feel now. "We're always like this," says Elder Mehmet Ah. "In the storm, we cling to each other. In calm, we share with each other. The ship is not just made of wood, it is also strengthened by our friendships." In the afternoon, your injured friend's condition improves. He can stand up and walk slowly. This also makes everyone happy, because on a ship, everyone's health is everyone's concern. Dinner is much more enjoyable than usual. Everyone shares their experiences from last night and laughs together. These laughs are your strongest weapon against difficulties. After dinner, you go up to the deck with Ali. "Tonight, I will never forget," he says, "not just because of the storm, but because of your friendship." You say you agree with his words. Under the stars, you talk about the future. When this voyage will end, what you will do next. But for now, you just want to enjoy this moment. Tonight, before going to bed, you ask yourself, are these friendships only valid on the ship? Or are they bonds that will last a lifetime? And how strong do these friendships, which grew with difficulties, make you? After weeks of open sea travel, the sight of the first port finally brings great joy to everyone. As the silhouette of Thessaloniki's harbour appears on the horizon, all the sailors on the ship come up to the deck. Eyes that haven't seen land for a long time greet this sight with great longing. You, along with the others, stand at the bow and watch the approaching city. The colourful houses of the harbour, the minarets of the mosques, the vibrancy of the markets. All of it seems like another world after the months you spent at sea. As the ship docks, you see the crowd on the pier. Merchants, porters, sailors from other ships, city dwellers. Everyone is busy with their own affairs. Everyone has a story. You, however, wonder where you will fit into these stories. You feel the excitement of setting foot in another city for the first time. The streets of Thessaloniki are very different from Istanbul, narrower, more winding, and full of completely different smells. A different language is spoken at every corner, different clothes are seen. Captain Selim Pasha gives the crew leave. "You are free until tomorrow evening," he says. "But don't forget the ship. This is not your home, just a stop." These words curb everyone's joy a little, but cannot prevent the feeling of freedom. You decide to explore the city with Ali. Your first stop at the local market. Here there are fresh fruits and vegetables you haven't seen for months at sea. The smell of apples, the sweetness of grapes, the warmth of fresh bread. All of it seems like paradise to you. As you wander through the market, you encounter people of different nationalities. Greek merchants, Jewish artisans, Albanian farmers. Everyone speaks their own language, but trade is the common language. The colour of money is the same everywhere. When you sit in a coffee house, you meet local sailors. They know the seas of this region very well and tell you local stories. "That island over there," says an old fisherman, "was completely deserted after pirate raids. Now only gulls live there." These stories show you only one aspect of seafaring life, because every port also harbours its own specific dangers, pirates, diseases, political turmoil. All of these are inevitable parts of a sailor's life. In the evening, you see a different side of the city. Street lights come on, coffee houses come alive, music can be heard. This atmosphere is very different from the silence on the ship. Tonight, you are staying in an inn on shore, not on the ship. For the first time in months, you sleep in a fixed bed. But strangely, that fixed bed bothers you. A non-swaying bed now feels foreign to you. You wake up early the next morning and continue to explore the market. This time, you look at the supplies to be transported by ship. Fresh water, dry food, repair materials, all of these are necessary for the long journey. While shopping at the market, you learn to bargain prices. This is another skill of being a sailor. Because in every port, there are different currencies and different prices. Bargaining well is important for the ship's budget. Around noon, you go to a local mosque. As someone who hasn't regularly visited a mosque for a long time, you experience the peace here vital. Airy, deeply. The months spent at sea have reminded you of the importance of spiritual values. After leaving the mosque, you decide to visit the historical sites of Thessaloniki, old churches, Byzantine ruins, Ottoman structures. Every stone tells a story. During this trip, you feel that you have come into such close contact with history for the first time. Events you only read about in books happened here in real places. You are now a part of this history too. In the afternoon, you examine the other ships in the harbour. Each ship has its unique design, different flags, different crews. This diversity shows how vast the world of seamanship is. You meet the captain of a Venetian merchant ship. He has been travelling the seas for 20 years and has seen many different places. His stories broaden your world view. Seamanship, says the Venetian captain, is not just a profession, it's a philosophy of life. Every day you learn something new, every port brings a new experience. In the evening, you and Ali go up to the cliffs at the end of the harbour. From there you watch the open sea. The sea, glistening like silver in the moonlight, seems endless to you. "I wonder what's on the other side of that sea," says Ali. You tell him you share the same thoughts, because seamanship, in fact, means constant curiosity. Tonight, as you rest in the inn, you think about today. How much you have learned in one day. You haven't just seen new places, you've met new people, encountered new cultures. The next day, ship-related work begins, taking on water, loading food, making small repairs. During these tasks, you work alongside the labourers at the port. You learn their unique stories as well. A porter tells you his story. "When I was young, I also wanted to be a sailor," he says. "But my family wouldn't let me. Now I watch the ships here all the time and I wonder." This story makes you think. Are you living the life you wanted, or are you curious about the lives of others? Aro. And noon, you return to the ship. You now feel the ship is truly your home. The swaying of the sea, the sound of the wind, the presence of your friends, all of it belongs to you. Your last day in port passes with a little sadness, because tomorrow you will set out for the open seas again. Perhaps you will never encounter this city, these people, again. You eat dinner at a restaurant in the city, local dishes, different flavors. Experiencing these is one of the best parts of traveling. During dinner, you chat with the other sailors. Everyone has had different experiences related to this port. Some made new friends, some saw interesting places, and some just rested. Tonight, you stay in the city for the last time. Tomorrow, a long journey will begin again. Where you will go this time, how long it will take, what you will encounter. You know none of these. Before sleeping, you look out the window. The city lights slowly fade. People return to their homes, the streets empty. Tomorrow, you will leave this scene behind. Tonight, you ask yourself one last time, how are these journeys changing you? What does each new port add to you, and how do these experiences affect your future plans? A few weeks after leaving Thessaloniki, an unusual flurry of activity begins on the ship. Captain Selim Pasha frequently holds long discussions with other officers at the chart table. After these meetings, the ship's route changes and its speed increases. You and the other sailors wonder about the reason for this situation. One morning, the captain gathers the entire crew on deck and speaks. "Friends," he says in a serious tone, "we are receiving news of war. Our navy is preparing against enemy ships. We may also need to participate in these preparations." This news creates a great silence on the ship. Everyone sinks into their own thoughts. You too think about what war means until... Now, the only enemies you've seen have been natural disasters and the hardships of the sea. Ali comes to your side and whispers, "Are you scared?" You decide to be honest. "Yes, I'm scared. Aren't you?" He also nods. I am too, but I guess that's normal. In the following days, war preparations begin on the ship. Cannons are checked, gunpowder and cannonballs are counted, weapons are cleaned. You had never seen weapons this close before. The weight of the cannons, the smell of gunpowder, the glint of metal, all of it frightens and fascinates you at the same time. During the war preparations, you meet experienced warriors on the ship. They are people who have participated in many naval battles before and have faced the enemy firsthand. Listening to their stories gives you courage, but also shows you the seriousness of war. The first battle is the hardest, says the experienced gunner, Master Hussein, because you don't know what to expect, but once you've lived through it, you know what to do. These words relieve you a little, but your anxiety continues. During war drills, you learn everyone's role on the ship. Gunners fire at enemy ships. Sailors quickly adjust the sails for the ship to maneuver. The cleaning crew treats the wounded during battle. Your task is to carry gunpowder. This is a very dangerous job, because gunpowder can explode at the smallest spark. But it is also a very important task, because without cannons, the ship remains defenseless. During your first gunpowder-carrying drill, you feel your hands trembling. The gunpowder sacks are heavy and ready to explode. You have to be very careful with every step. One wrong move can endanger everyone. During the drill, you learn how to work coordinately with your friends. In war, teamwork is vital. Everyone needs to be in the right place at the right time. A week later, news arrives that enemy ships have been sighted. 3 Venetian warships are reported to be approaching on the horizon. This is no longer a drill, it's real war. War preparations speed up. Everyone takes their position. You prepare to carry gunpowder from the powder magazine to the deck. The pounding in your heart is almost audible. When you see the first enemy ship with your own eyes, you feel caught between fear and excitement. That ship is slightly larger than yours and has more cannons, but Captain Selim Pasha does not seem worried by this situation. "Friends," says the captain, "this is not our first battle. Trust in our experience, trust in each other." These words calm everyone a little. When the battle begins, you flinch at the first sound of cannon fire. This sound is so powerful that your ears ring. But you have to recover quickly because your gunpowder carrying duty begins. When you pick up the first gunpowder sack, your hands are no longer trembling. But this trembling is not from fear, but from adrenaline. Your body is preparing for battle. When you go up to the deck, you see how chaotic the battle is. Everyone is running, shouting, orders are being given. Amidst the cannon fire, you can also hear the cannon fire of enemy ships. The first enemy shots pass close to the ship. Cannonballs falling into the water create large splashes. You are about to drop the gunpowder sack, but you hold on. Gunner Master Hussein shouts at you, "Be quick, son! If our cannons fall silent, we are finished." These words spur you into action. You quickly take the gunpowder sack to the cannon. When our first shot is fired, you feel the ship shake. If the power of our own cannon is so great, how dangerous can enemy shots be? Throughout the battle, you are constantly running, carrying gunpowder, helping the wounded, cleaning the deck. Every task is a part of the struggle for survival. At one point, an enemy shot grazes the side of the ship. Splinters of wood fly everywhere, and several of your friends are injured. You rush to help the wounded. One of the wounded is Mustafa from Izmir, whom you had just chatted with a few days ago. He has an arm injury and is in great pain. As you help him, you see the true face of war. "Can you endure?" you ask Mustafa. He smiles painfully and replies, "We have to endure. We have no other choice." After 2 hours of battle, one of the enemy ships retreats. The other two continue to fight, but our ship seems to have gained the upper hand. Meanwhile, the captain gives a new order. We are approaching the enemy ship. Be ready. This means the battle will intensify even further. As the two ships approach, you can now see the people on each other's decks. There is fear on the faces of the enemy sailors too. They, like you, are fighting to survive. In the final assault, the enemy ship's main mast breaks. This becomes the turning point of the battle. The enemy ship becomes unable to maneuver. When the battle ends, a great silence falls over the ship. Everyone tries to process the experience they've lived through. You also don't quite know what you're feeling: fear, excitement, pride, sadness, all at once. During the care of the wounded, you better understand the human dimension of war. Behind every wounded person is a story, a family, a future. War happens not just between ships, but between people. Mustafa's wound is not serious, but he is in pain. As you help him with the yellow bandages, he asks, "Was this war worth it?" You don't know the answer to this question, because war is a very complex phenomenon. In the evening, the aftermath of the battle is assessed. Our ship has 3 wounded, but no one has lost their life. We have captured one of the enemy ships, the other 2 have fled. This is considered a successful battle. Captain Selim Pasha gathers the crew and speaks. "Tonight, I am proud of all of you. You showed true courage. But remember, war is never easy. We must always be careful." After this speech, you share your battle experience with your friends. Everyone has different memories, different fears, but your common ground is how you supported each other. "If it weren't for you," says Mustafa, "who would have bandaged my wound?" These words make you proud, because you realize that in war you are fighting not only against the enemy, but also for your friends. Tonight, you find it difficult to sleep. The sound of cannon fire still echoes in your ears. When you close your eyes, you see the battle scenes again. This is the beginning of the psychological effects of war. The next morning, you look at the captured enemy ship. This ship resembles yours, but its design is different. Seeing Venetian technology up close is an interesting experience. When you meet the captured enemy sailors, you see that they are young people just like you. They also want to return to their families. They are also trying to survive. One of the prisoners is a lad your age. When you look at him, you think you are the lucky one, because you have won, but he has remained on the losing side. War, says Elder Mehmet Ağa, is a game no one wins. It's just a situation where some lose less. These words change your thoughts about war. Around noon, new orders arrive. Information is received that other enemy ships are approaching. This means the war is not yet over. During the second battle preparation, you now know what to expect. Fear is still there, but this time there is no panic. Experience gives you confidence. This time, as you carry gunpowder, your hands do not tremble because you now know how to do this job. Experience reduces fear. The second battle lasts shorter than the first because the enemy realizes that you are experienced and does not get too close. They fire a few shots from a distance and retreat. After this short battle, you feel proud of yourself because you have fought a second time and succeeded. You now begin to see yourself a true sailor warrior. At dinner, war stories are told. Everyone shares their moments of courage. You also tell about the fear you experienced while carrying gunpowder and how you overcame it. These stories strengthen your bonds with the group because the experience of war connects people more deeply. Shared danger deepens friendship. A few days after the battle, the normal routine begins again. But now everything is a little different because you have become a battle-hardened sailor. This gives you a new identity. In conversations on the ship, your opinions are now also taken into account because war experience makes you more valuable in the eyes of others. One day Ali asks you, "Did the war change you?" You ponder this question for a long time. Yes, you have changed, but you can't quite explain how. "Perhaps I became more courageous," you say, "but I also learned how fragile life is." This is the most important lesson the war taught you. As your injured friends begin to heal, you see the scars left behind by the war. Physical wounds heal, but the psychological effects continue. Mustafa, after his arm wound heals, cannot find his old cheerfulness. He often stares blankly and speaks little. You try to support him. "War," you say to Mustafa, "changes us all. The important thing is to accept this change and move on." These words seem to give him some morale. After these experiences, your thoughts about war begin to become clearer. War may sometimes be necessary, but it is never easy. There is always a cost, and everyone pays that cost. Lying in bed at night, your anxieties about the future increase. Will you experience other wars? How will these experiences shape you? And how will your warrior identity reconcile with your true identity? As you fall asleep with these questions, one thing is certain. You are no longer just a sailor. You are also a warrior. How will this new identity affect you in the next chapter of your life? In the months following the war, the ship's course constantly changes, sometimes east, sometimes west, sometimes south. Each new route takes you a little further from your homeland. In the distant waters of the Mediterranean, you haven't heard from Istanbul, from your family, from your loved ones for months. This morning, you stand alone on deck and look at the horizon. The blue infinity of the sea gives you both a feeling of freedom and loneliness, that familiar ache inside you. The pain of longing for your homeland grows a little more with each passing day. Ali comes over to you and understands your situation. "You miss it too, don't you?" he says. You nod. "Every night I see Istanbul in my dreams. Sometimes it's so real that I feel like I'm actually there." "Me too," says Ali. "The mountains of Trabzon, the apple tree in our garden. Sometimes I can't believe I'm so far away." You both look at the sea in silence, each alone with your own memories. During this long voyage, you have deeper conversations with the other sailors on the ship. Everyone has their own story of longing for their homeland. Elder Mehmet Ağa says, "I've been at sea for 40 years, but I still think of home every evening." "Does this longing never pass?" you ask. Elder Mehmet Ağa smiles and replies, "It doesn't, son, but with time, you learn to live with this longing. In fact, this longing gives you strength." In the evening, you sit by candlelight on the ship. Outside, the wind blows fiercely, but inside there is a warm atmosphere. Old Mehmet Ağa tells his old stories. These stories take you all back to the past. "Once upon a time," says Elder Mehmet Ağa, "I lived in a village near Kapıdağ, a small house, a few fruit trees in the garden. After the morning prayer, I would drink tea in the garden and watch the sea." This narration revives everyone's own memories. You too think of your house in Üsküdar, the sound of the morning call to prayer, the smell of the coffee house on the street, the warm bread from your moth's hands. "Sometimes," you continue, "I see myself at home in my dream. I'm talking to my mother, sitting next to my father. When I wake up, I realize it was just a dream. During this conversation, Mustafa from Izmir listens quietly. After his war wound, he speaks very little. But this evening, he suddenly begins to speak. I wonder if I will ever see my home again. These words affect everyone, because this is one of the hardest aspects of a sailor's life. Uncertainty about the future. You don't know when you can return, or even if you can return. Of course you will see it, you say to Mustafa. We will all see our homes. But as you say these words, you are not entirely sure yourself. Seamanship is an unpredictable way of life. At night, the time you spend looking at the stars increases. The stars both guide you and comfort you, because those same stars are shining over your loved ones who are currently in your homeland. Tonight you find the North Star. This star shows you the north direction. North is the direction of your homeland. This thought gives you some comfort. Do you see that star? You ask Ali. That star is also shining over our homes right now. Ali looks up and smiles. That's a beautiful thought. When it's time for the morning prayer, you pray in congregation on deck. These moments give you spiritual strength and slightly alleviate your longing for your homeland. Because prayer connects you with the mosques in your homeland, the muezzin's calls, and spiritual values. After the prayer, as you drink your morning tea, the captain approaches you. Captain Selim Pasha is a commander who has spent many years at sea. Son, he says, I see you deep in thought. Is it longing for home? Yes, Pasha, you reply. I haven't heard from my family for months. The captain nods understandingly. That's normal, son. Every sailor experiences it, but know that you are serving your homeland here. These words give you a different perspective. In fact, even though you are far from home, you are working for your homeland. Under the Ottoman flag, you represent the power of the empire on the seas. Around noon, you reread your old letters. You had written these letters before going on the ship. Your family's words give you strength, but also increase your longing. You read the lines your father wrote. My son, you have now embarked on a man's path. We are proud of you, but we miss you very much. These lines bring tears to your eyes. Your mother's letter is more emotional. My dear son, I pray for you every night before bed. May Allah protect you and bring you home safe and sound. As you read these words, you feel as if you hear your mother's voice. In the afternoon, as you chat with your other friends, you listen to everyone's own stories of longing. Ali from Trabzon says, if my father hadn't made me a sailor, I'd be home now. But then I'd miss different things. Perhaps, as you say, longing is inherent in human nature. We always long for something. This philosophical discussion gives everyone a chance to think. Meanwhile, the tasks you perform for the ship's navigation and operation give you an opportunity to distract yourself. Checking the ropes, adjusting the sails, cleaning the deck. These routines suppress the feeling of longing a little. But in the evening, when work is done, the longing returns. As the sun sets, you wonder if the sun is also setting in Istanbul. What are they doing at home right now? Are they thinking of you? This evening, music plays on the ship. One of the experienced sailors begins to play the oud. The folk songs he plays make everyone emotional. Especially the songs about longing for home affect you all. As you listen to the folk song that begins, will I return from distant lands, who knows? You feel as welling up, this song describes your current feelings perfectly. To the accompaniment of the music, you see some of your friends' eyes filling with tears. because music touches the deepest human emotions. Longing for homeland is one of these emotions. Tonight, before going to bed, you go out onto the deck and look at the stars one last time. Mother and father, you think to yourself, are you looking at the same stars? I'm fine here, don't worry. When you return to the barracks, you see your other friends also lying silently. Everyone is alone with their own thoughts. Perhaps they are also praying for their families. Tonight, you see Istanbul in your dream. You cross the Galata Bridge, eat fish and bread in Eminönü, and walk towards home. Everything is so real that you are surprised for a moment when you wake up. The next morning, the same routine begins again. But this time, reconciled with longing, because longing, instead of weakening you, motivates you. You try to become a better sailor to return home. This morning you make a promise to yourself. When this journey is over, I will return home. But until then, I will do my best here. This decision gives you peace. While working on deck, Captain Selim Pasha approaches you. "Son," he says, "you look livelier today." You smile and reply, "Pasha, I guess I've made peace with longing." "Well done, son," says the captain. "That is true virtue, learning to manage your emotions." This praise makes you proud and makes you feel that you are on the right path. Around noon, you talk about home with Ali. "What will you do when your seafaring is over?" he asks. "I'll get married," you say. "I'll open a shop. I'll live a normal life." "Me too," says Ali, "but I will never forget these experiences." As you both talk about your future plans, you feel hopeful. This afternoon, you decide to write a letter. Of course, this letter won't be sent immediately, but writing it makes you feel good. "Mom, my dear family," you begin. "I am well here. I miss you very much, but I am strong." This act of writing a letter feels like therapy to you. As you pour your emotions onto paper, you feel the burden lighten inside you. In the evening, you finish your letter. This letter may never be sent, but writing it has made you feel so much better, because you feel as if you have spoken with your family. Tonight, before sleeping, you ask yourself, does longing for homeland weaken you or strengthen you? And at the end of this long journey, what kind of person will you be when you return home?